So, this is awkward. Hi, welcome back to my channel, to both of us. I hope you're doing well. Sorry it's been a bit since my last upload. A lot has happened since last year. I started going to college, I moved, I got COVID twice. I've actually made a few attempts to gather more fursonas to do another one of those roasting videos, but honestly, I didn't get enough submissions either time to make another one, so I sort of just forgot about the idea of making a video altogether and just went about my life. This was until I noticed I had a comment on my community page suggesting that I do a video on the evolution of my fursona, and that seemed like kind of fun. Another small thing that has been preventing me from recording videos is that I have this weird fear of my husband Mason hearing me record from the other room, even though I know he can't hear me, because he can't even hear me when I'm intentionally trying to get his attention. But putting this actually kind of big fear aside, here's the evolution of my fursona. Now, my fursona is Bradley. She's an opossum, America's only marsupial, and absolutely certified adorable. I know that some people see them as just like big rats, which they kind of are, but I also love rats, so that doesn't really sway me one bit. Most people I know in the furry fandom have a super deep, overly developed backstory for their fursonas, but I really don't. Bradley's basically just me as a possum. She's sleepy all the time, a little bit lazy, loves food, and is a bit childish. She goes through bouts of depression where she likes to be alone, but ultimately loves being around the people that she loves. When I was a kid, I was so much more creative when it came to backstories that I gave to my fursonas. I joined the furry fandom officially when I was probably around 13 years old. However, before that, I would say I technically had a fursona, but I'm just going to include them in this video anyway. Back around 2010, there was this 2D chat room called Wolf Home. I would spend most of my day on the website just talking to random strangers as a 12-year-old. I quickly learned about role-playing and character creation through the chat room. I was very into the anime Inuyasha at the time, and I made my first character, Kiba Inu. Kiba was basically a red and white wolf with purple stripes on their face, similar to when Inuyasha went to his, demon possession form or whatever. I don't really remember. I haven't watched Inuyasha in so long. Anyway, Kiba's gender would change frequently depending on the roleplay scenario, so for simplicity's sake, I'll stick to they-them pronouns. Eventually, I would add fire abilities to them and even wings at one point with a bright orange tail tip. Unfortunately, most of the images I had of Kiba were lost when my DeviantArt account got wiped on accident, so the few images I do have are screen grabs from my first YouTube channel where I made Wolf Home music videos. Oh, and Kiba also had a K-shaped scar on their shoulder because, scars are cool. Eventually, I did a redesign for Kiba that didn't actually stick, but there are some similarities to a character that would come after. This is the only piece I can find for this character that I called Cree. She has a slightly more natural color palette, with tan and brown making its first appearance, but also my favorite colors, purple and green. Looking at this character again, I actually really liked this design, and I wish it would have stuck around a little longer. Alas, though, I had different ideas in mind that led to what would be my longest running fursona, Cry. Cry started out as a tan and brown fennec fox, a species of fox that I had recently learned about. It reminded me a lot of the Pokemon Eevee, so I was in love right away. She was very small and mostly looked like a generic wolf or fox most of the time, though her reference sheet actually claimed that she was a fennec fox and Ethiopian wolf hybrid. She also had a red hair tuft that would keep the memories of Kiba alive in a way without being too unnatural. She also lost a pupil, apparently. I honestly can't remember if she was supposed to, be blind in one eye, but that's just kind of what happened. Cry was also the first of my fursonas to actually have a fursuit. Not a great one, admittedly, but she had one. It was literally the first fursuit I ever made, and I don't think it was actually that bad. Aside from the fact that some of the materials I used to make the fursuit were literally a couch cushion, a plastic Tupperware bowl, window screen, and a piece of white foamies colored pink with a marker for the tongue. I also could not see at all out of the left eye because I wanted that beautiful emo bang of the early 2010s. Beauty comes at a price, such as having less vision in a situation where you already have terrible vision. So Cry would remain my fursona for many years. I attended a few cons with her original suit. Yes, I say original suit because Cry would soon go through a huge design change. All throughout middle school and most of high school, I had pet rats. Naturally, as time went on, I began thinking of a rat fursona. Would I make a new fursona though? Nope, Cry would now be a fox-rat hybrid. This choice was certainly an interesting one. I remade her suit and it somehow looked so much worse than her first one. Even though the new suit didn't look the best, it was at least made with good materials this time. Around the end of 2019, I would eventually sell Cry's character and her first suit. It was a bittersweet parting, but even after her huge design change, I felt like I had ultimately outgrown her. We had been through so much together, but the timing just felt right. And I immediately fell in love with a new fursona named Dax. Before Dax, I didn't know what an African wild dog even was. After looking more into them, it was like discovering fennec foxes all over again. During the actual pandemic, I did a lot of art. I drew so many pieces of Dax in various situations. Just like Cry, I did get a suit for Dax. Dax turned out so much better, as I had bought a pre-made base online rather than trying to make my own without any sort of template. I didn't, however, have a chance to take Dax to any conventions, as they weren't running due to the pandemic, so his suit kind of just collected dust. Naturally, there was only one right thing to do in this scenario. Buy another fursuit. Scrolling through Instagram one day with my newly collected stimulus check and my childish ideas of financial irresponsibility, I came across her. This beautiful, emo, possum head and tail combo for only $200. It was a steal. I bought her right away and began designing what would become Bradley. I would go on to do a few photo shoots with Bradley, record some now deleted videos wearing her, and take her to a convention or two while those were still up and running. A few years later, in 2023, I would remake Bradley's head entirely, and I would begin working on her new head a week before I was set to leave for a convention. After I made Bradley 2.0, I sold her original 1.0 head and tail. I didn't see a point to keeping it, as I wouldn't choose to wear it over the new one. The 2.0 head is significantly bigger, but the breathability and visibility are amazing compared to the old one. Now, I know I didn't exactly design Bradley, and so my love for possums didn't entirely fuel my path leading to her. It was mostly a right time and right place with the right amount of money and nothing better to do moment. Before finding Bradley, I was still obsessed with Dax. At one point, I just said Dax and Bradley were both my fursonas, until one day I just realized that I love Bradley so much more. She represented me more, she had a similar body type to me, and a similar personality. Dax was very angry and overly outgoing, and that's just something I'm not. The day came that I eventually decided to let Dax go. I sold him and his character with all of his art that I had created over the years. In the following months, controversy would break out around his character belonging to a different person than the one I had sold him to, and then the new owner was trying to get me to sign over the rights to him, and it was just a confusing mess that I really didn't want to be a part of. And that was sort of the last time I've seen Dax. The owner I sold him to created a new toy house with all of his art re-uploaded, but the new owner still says that he owns Dax. As I said, it's kind of a huge mess. As it stands today, Bradley is still my main fursona. I've been to so many meetups and conventions at this point with her, and I mean, she's part of the brand of my channel, obviously. That's her bum you see, after all. In the end, I think it's normal, and it's a good thing to outgrow your characters and let new ones in. I feel like my characters all served a great purpose in helping me develop as a person throughout the years, and for that, I appreciate them, and the furry community for letting me be myself. Speaking of being yourself, I named my dog Kiba after retiring the character, but he's not named after my first fursona. He's actually named after Kiba from Wolf's Rain, which my fursona was named after. I just love the name Kiba, okay? Get on with your life now and have fun. The amount of times I've said Kiba in this video had me so nervous that my dog was just going to freak out. But he's actually been very well behaved this whole time, and I'm proud of him. Okay, now actually bye-bye.